Thank you very much, Maurice. Yes, I'm here with Anish Giri, one of the most entertaining players on the roster here in Romania. Anish, first of all, take us through the game. It seemed at some point that you were on top.
Yeah,
the opening went well for you. Tell us a little bit more about it.
No, Levon, as he confessed, this rook a8 was a horrible move. In general, the way you want to position your rooks usually is you want to bring this rook, so let's say here, this rook, let's say here. I mean, just for argument's sake, and then you want to perhaps put the bishop here. This is how you want to play it, and then the bishop sort of can come out to c6. The rooks are putting pressure on the c-pawn, and everything's sort of harmonious. After rook d8, bishop c8 is really not the case. Now this rook on f8 is out of play.
So you try to do it the other way around.
Yeah, but it really doesn't work now, because the rook on f8 is now passive. There's nobody putting pressure on c4 pawn. The bishop is far from c6. So this whole plan of rook d8, bishop c8, I mean, here I realized he's in deep trouble, and I was thinking maybe he should somehow try to bring the rook back to c8, you know, and then this rook to d8 after all. And now I was thinking, what about these positions, you know, these typical positions? Now I have extra move a4, but it's not so clear how much it benefits me. But basically, yeah, rook d8 and bishop c8 was a disastrous plan, and I reacted well for a while. And here I'm having a dominant position already. First of all, I'm not sure if I should trade, but I thought it was good enough. Of course, you might want to keep more pawns, because sometimes
always maybe a6.
Yeah, but well, I thought what I did was very strong. I thought he has to at some point go. I was considering knight c5, and then it's very unpleasant for him. He will lose the c5 pawn in a bad version. And I started missing moves bishop f6. I still saw, but then bishop b5 I thought was very strong. I thought I have him now where I want to have him. I thought he doesn't have a move, and I calculated knight c5, where I trade everything, and then I force his rook to be passive, and then I pick up the pawn nicely. But g5 was very strong.
And his bishop is completely locked out.
Yeah, the bishop is sad. G5 was very accurate. Now, at first I thought it's not a big deal. I was just planning to go f3, king g7, then perhaps king f2. But then I realized that he's going now knight c5, and now at the end of this line, where I do what I was usually sort of doing, I'm going to win.
But his king gets in.
It's not so much the king. It's more that let's say here, it's more that now he has the pawn on g5, and now he's going to drop the rook to d1, and he has this rook h1 counterplay. And let's say with pawn on g7, I would have h4, and I have my pawn. But in general, yes, well, I'm lacking space. My bishop is now out of play. He lost the pawn, but now he turned around the coordination. I think rook h1 is coming. I think it's just a draw on the spot at least.
And basically, anytime you try to exchange the bishop, he'll happily do that.
Yeah, but like
there's also no way
it's so slow, and rook h1 is already next move. King g2, rook e1 is there. So I thought, okay, f3, king, king f2 is not the right way. So let me think what the right way is. And then I kept thinking and thinking, and I realized that okay, it's strange, but maybe it's already nothing. And with that, then f4. Of course, f4 is not great, because I mean I had some idea that here I would go e3 perhaps and go bishop d4 ed, or but already position like that, change the pawn structure, maybe keep some chances against the b6 pawn. But already clearly, in general, I understood. Of course, when you do move like f4, you give him counterplay with e5, and he played e5 very accurately, and then knight g4, and then also bishop e6 is the most accurate move, and now it's forced. With that in mind, I made a mistake earlier than I made a mistake here, obviously. Of course, this position is overwhelming. As Levon pointed out, bishop e3 was very strong.
Maybe at some point, could you have played h4 to stop him from going g5? Maybe with the bishop on c6?
Not sure if h4 is...
Or was it too late?
Yeah,
so
there.
Take bishop c6 here.
Yeah, but the problem is that maybe it's anyway a better move than the game, but I thought that he might want to take, and maybe knight e5 or something like that. So that was my idea, and I didn't really think. I mean, also, I'm not sure if I even saw that, like, I'm not winning a piece or something, you know? Like, I'm not winning a piece because bishop d7, bishop d4. So I'm not sure if I saw g5 at all. I definitely underestimated it, and I thought if he makes a loft for the king, it was going to be h6 or something. So g5 was very useful, because later down the line you saw that rook h1, the h2 pawn is going to be weak. In general, it's very often in endgames that g5 is a good move. So I should have seen it coming, and of course, yeah, in hindsight,
it just doesn't feel likely, because that bishop on f6 seems to be hanging in some
as well. And I mean, the thing is that I thought that my advantage is so overwhelming that it's not enough to make one move that it's going to go away. So I thought, but of course I realized that I should play precise. I just thought bishop c6 was that nice move. I liked rerouting the bishop to b5, keep that c4 pawn under control. But bishop e3 was very strong. Now knight c5, I see even. And now I can, first of all, I can also take, in fact, everything as I wanted. But for that, I wanted the bishop on c6, so I have king g2 there. But also I see rook db1. Yeah, it's very good. Looks kind of winning for me. And yeah, I should have. He saw this move, so I should have seen it as well. But especially pity, because the way he handled the opening, I had just an enormous chance, and position is so easy to play.
Yeah. You talked a little bit in the first round about taking risk and trying to quantify how much risk you can take. After yesterday's accident, how much risk were you going to take today?
Yeah, not much. Though I have to say, you know, very often it looks like somebody's taking a risk. For example, you might think that I go bishop g5 knight, or maybe that's risky. But then the idea is that both players know that it's a forced line, and in fact you are just testing your opponent's memory. In this day and age, this sort of it's slightly changed a little bit. With the people knowing so much theory, the definition of risk is sort of changing to an extent. I mean, there are no more risky lines that nobody has studied. I mean, Trumpovsky, everybody knows. 1b3, people also know what they're supposed to do. So, and if you play King's Gambit, I mean, well, it is a risk, but it's like an insane risk because everybody is sort of supposed to have that covered as well. Especially with Magnus playing in all these rapid tournaments non-stop. He also playing b3 before. Everybody's preparing all these moves against him now. So, even if you want to take the risk, it's very hard. So, I mean, I think it's just, in my case today, I just try to, I had a small idea, of course, it's one of the least risky ones, but I would rather have an idea in some other line where his king is in big danger and he has to make 10 only moves to defend from checkmate, but I couldn't find such position in his repertoire, so I had to make my little move a4.
Well, speaking of risky openings, and this is just a personal question, how did you come up to do a dragon chessable course, and talk a little bit about that? What did you find? Give us some insight.
I can tell you, so we were preparing it for the candidates tournament, and we were looking at all sorts of, because I had to win against 1e4, try to win against 1e4, because I was facing Jan and MVL as well. And so we looked at all sorts of ridiculous options, and dragon was one of them. But it turned out that the dragon actually is okay for black. It's a question, of course, how much winning chances it actually offers against the top player. So I didn't play that finally, but it is very sound. And then, apparently I didn't really expect that, but we couldn't refute it. So I thought, probably I'm not going to play it, not because it doesn't work, but just because maybe some other things give me more chances against those particular opponents. But such great knowledge cannot go to waste. So I decided to make a chessable course instead, and I shared this idea in the main line, and I looked a lot at the sidelines, and I think it was very useful because you got these dragon structures also in openings that I play, like the Najdorf, and I think it should help with my understanding there as well, because like dragon is not just an opening, it's a pawn structure. Yeah? Like for example, you've got the Benoni, yeah? It's an opening, but it's also a pawn structure. You've got like the Stonewall, it's an opening, but it also can arise from Catalan. So you've got these opening / pawn structures, and I think studying the dragon sort of, I thought it would be useful for me. But in terms of like playing the actual dragon, I'm not sure I myself will do that, but hopefully my students will, because nothing wrong with the dragon.
As a former dragon player that got checkmated way too many times, I commend you for that. So
yeah, but there's like not even close. Like the lines I'm recommending, there's no checkmate. The main battlefields are some, theoretically speaking, some endgames where black is accurately holding, and we're diverging the attack. There's no checkmates in the dragon in 2021.
There you have it, guys. Dragon is safe. Back to you in the studio.